Hey guys, I'm Kenta.
I'm Aggie,
I'm Deja.
and we are all a part of the class of 2019 here at the Bush School.
We decided to create the Bush School Insights YouTube channel for our senior project.
We did this to provide students and faculty with the opportunity to openly talk about their experiences at Bush.
We created the video that you're about to see to give members of the community the opportunity to reflect on their time here at Bush.
We hope you enjoy.
First statement is, Bush students aren't afraid to share their opinion.
We live in a very left-centered part of the country, obviously. So it's very okay to talk about those, and for that reason I'd say the majority of the students are okay with it, but I do know a few students who aren't even necessarily like to the right or anything, but like aren't extremely to the left, and they have trouble talking sometimes. I know that can be hard for them, so I'm not strongly agreeing, I'm just agreeing.
I agree with that, and sort of adding on to it, I think it's also true that like if you are someone who is left-leaning and likes to speak up, people won't necessarily like tell you to screw off to your face, but they'll sort of mumble and they aren't going to like it very much, which leads a lot of like people who would say things about issues to not say them.
I guess I pick neutral because I think we get the sense that Bush students aren't afraid to speak their mind, but I think that's because we have like a handful of students that really aren't afraid to speak their mind, and those students speak their mind pretty much all the time. But then I feel like the majority of students are comfortable doing that in like certain situations, but most of the time I feel like they aren't.
I feel like compared to different schools that I've worked in, or just my own experience as a teenager, I feel like there's a good platform for student voice here. It's not to say it's not perfect and that there aren't, that it doesn't hold everybody well or perfectly, but I do think in terms of schools like Bush, it feels like I hear students and I hear, and even if we can't hear students verbally, I feel like there are adults that are thinking about students that we don't actually hear from.
So I think it really depends on what kind of platform the students are speaking on. I know a lot of people just aren't comfortable sharing their opinions in like just a large school environment such as open forum because, as Healey said, they really fear that their opinions are going to be antagonized. But while, when you're actually in like a smaller group, I realize that a lot of students who are silent when you're in like open forum, they're more willing to speak out.
So before we move on to the next statement, anyone can say any sort of thought they have or product.
Sure. I guess I wanted to follow up Healey's statement because I feel like your comment about the kind of like mumblings after students speak out really like rang true to me. I feel like a lot of students who maybe would be more comfortable speaking out kind of fear the like social repercussions of that because I mean there are these handful of students that do speak out a lot, me being one of them, and I feel like personally I have noticed social repercussions from that. Like it makes people uncomfortable in a way that they're not comfortable or willing to like lean into and work with, and kind of just shuts them down. And so I think there is a lot of truth to the like social weight of speaking out, and I think that kind of contributes to a lot of students discomfort and almost like fear of speaking out.
Okay. And the next statement is, I have seen growth in diversity during my time here at Bush. 3, 2, 1.
I hear you. In over 8 years of being here, I can say that just in terms of demographics, right? Not necessarily quality of experience, but in terms of demographics, there's been a shift. And it's pretty remarkable. I would say from what the reality was in the lower school to what it is now is huge difference. The middle school a little more so. The upper school is a different beast. And I can say that the numbers reflect the challenges of enrolling a diverse body in the upper school specifically. But I can also say that when I got here to Bush and was made a member of the senior administrative team, there were 2 people of color on the whole team. Me and a Japanese American woman. That was it. And since then, now we have Percy, we've got Ray, we've got Pri, we've got me.
Joe.
Right?
Yeah.
That shift has been amazing. And that shift is also present at the board level, which most students don't get to see. Right? And it's quite real. It's palpable and visible. In terms of the teachers, that's a hard thing to crack for so many reasons. And I can safely say we haven't made many or much stride and progress in that regard. And we're almost like every other school when it comes to that. There's no school that's not plagued with that reality nationwide. So.
I think about my role in admissions, and it's this incredible intersection of sort of access and privilege and who gets to be here. And I've been doing it for 20 years and then almost 10 years here at Bush. And I feel like independent schools have been trying to figure that out in our own sort of organizational and educational identities. And we value diversity, and yet we're institutions of privilege. And like, how do you bring those 2 things together? And there's this messiness to it that has always looked and felt different here. And the like, I don't know if it's like a 2-year cycle or right as we move along. And I feel like right now, when you think about what's happening nationally, so there's the Operation Varsity Blues, which happened on the college level, where what does it mean to get access to educational institutions that are organizations of power and access? This is all about building your network and your opportunity and your knowledge, right? So the highly privileged aren't even, who could get into these institutions anyways and go on to these colleges, are even distorting that. And then you have something like Stuyvesant High School, these charter schools in New York that are straight testing, and only 7 African American students were given access to that, the highest quality education in New York City. So it's like this incredible, I feel like for my profession, it's actually this incredible intersection around this conversation, and then we're like living it on the daily here, like this is the school that I'm involved with. So I think there are ways, like I feel like some of the pain that the high school has experienced, and students who are silenced and students who are standing up and saying this isn't okay, this is our experience, is part of that, right? Like who we are, that's like real, like people feeling like people are leaving, people feeling like that's a true part of us. And where we are. And then the other two part is like, we have lower school classes that are 65% kids of color, that we are like, that there's momentum from that administrative group, that people are coming. And so like both of those things are existing at the same time. And like, my hope is that as we move through time and space, that we'll just become a better version of ourselves, but we're still gonna live in those like different realities. And then hopefully in terms of our work as adults, have people around you and around students who can like hold us through that and having sort of those conversations. But so there are ways where I feel more empowered by what's going on now in terms of who we are as a school, and at the same time I also acknowledge that like there's a lot of hurt in terms of what it means to have students of different identities not feeling valued, seen, and heard here. So
The next statement is, I've discovered something I'm passionate about through a Bush-related experience. 3, 2, 1.
I sort of, the reason I'm straddling the line is A, 'cause it's cool, but also because it's sort of butterfly effect. I feel like something I've discovered through Bush has, through a very circuitous route, like led to me discovering things I'm interested in, and then I pursued those things at Bush. But I think it would be something of a stretch to say that because of a specific Bush class, I found something that I love.
I guess it took me a while to figure out where I was going, because when I think about that statement, I think what my brain was initially thinking was like a Bush class. And while I think I've found like new interests that I don't know if I would found before through classes, I don't think I've found any of my passions through a Bush class, but I do think my experiences at Bush have completely shaped who I am today, who I hope to be in the future. And like it sucks, but a lot of the really unfortunate and painful things that have happened in my 4 years at Bush have really helped me identify my passions. I mean, like fighting racism was something that I was always interested in and always cared about, but I think really like experiencing racism and its effect on my peers and my friends here at Bush, like within my own like small community, has really like sparked that in me, I guess. And it's something that I think about pretty much all the time. And I mean, I shape who I am and who I want to be, I guess, around that passion, which I don't think is something I would have said 4 years ago. So.
For me, I think it's just kind of guaranteed. I mean, when I came here, I was 5. 5-year-olds don't have much set out for them. So I think everything in some way or another. I mean, my key thing, my dream job, I said before that, which is I want to be a paleontologist. That'd be really cool. But all other things, yeah. I mean, all other experiences in my life, my friends. I mean, everything has kind of been based around the school, and I think that's. I often kind of forget. I didn't realize till pretty recently how unique that is. How most kids go to at least 2 schools before they graduate, but This is the only, K-12 school in the city, and there's not too many in the country. But like, this is all I know, for better or for worse. So, yeah, I think my whole, in some way, I'm gonna keep rambling. In some way, I've been here since I was 1, because my sister, who graduated last year, she's also a lifer, or she was a lifer, and so I would come to school and would get breakfast in the commons, and I would go and I remember the old principal had a stuffed parrot in his office, and I would go and talk to him about his puppets and everything. So my whole life, for 14 out of my 15 years, has been in and around Bush in some way or another. So yeah.
I think my passion for theater has developed through Bush mostly, which I guess is not something that's super connected to like the Bush administration or anything, and more just that the theater department is sort of isolated, I feel like. So it's not any particular Bush experience, but that has been a passion that has developed during my time here. Although I wouldn't say that there are any particular classes or anything that have helped me discover a passion of mine.
This is the end of part 1 of our Spectrum video. Stick around for part 2.
Yay.
Alrighty, so how we're gonna do...
Where's the off button?